In this video, we're going to look at polymers. Plastics are a common everyday example of polymers, so we'll look at them too. Polymers are large organic molecules made up of many smaller repeating units. In 1938, a tank of tetrafluoroethylene gas was being used to produce a CFC refrigerant. Polytetrafluoroethylene, commonly called Teflon, was accidentally discovered in the tank. Teflon is used to form the non-stick coating used in materials like pots and pans. Teflon is an example of a polymer formed from many repeating units of tetrafluoroethylene. Large molecule that's made up of many smaller repeating units is called a polymer. The individual repeating units are known as monomers. That makes sense because the poly prefix means many and the mono prefix means one. On the left of this graphic, we see the tetrafluoroethylene molecule, which is the monomer that forms the polymer shown on the right. That polymer is Teflon and is actually much larger than can be depicted here. Polymers are typically made up of several hundreds or thousands of repeating monomers. These molecules are huge. Because they're different molecules, polymers have different properties than the monomers that they're made of, just like compounds have very different properties than the ethene molecule is a gas at room temperature. But the monomer that makes polyethylene, which is a plastic that we use to make milk in jugs and water bottles, both of which are definitely not gases. The lengths of the chains and the ways the monomers are combined are what give polymers such diversity to their properties and contribute to their usefulness. This polyvinyl garden hose, the polycarbonate glasses frames, and the styrofoam food containers are all made of polymers. Polymers are useful things indeed. Those polymers, along with these, the nylon threads shown here, are examples of synthetic polymers. They're produced in labs and factories. Rayon, polyester, plastics, tires, rubber bands, styrofoam, and vinyl are all man-made polymers. But polymers have been around long before they were produced in laboratories. In fact, the very scientists and engineers that produced them were made of polymers. You are made of several polymers too. Some natural polymers are things like DNA and proteins. Chitin from insect exoskeletons, you know, the crunchy part when you step on a bug, silk, spider webs, cocoons, cellulose, starch, and even wool. Both cellulose, on the left, and starch, on the right, are produced from the same monomer, glucose. As shown here, even though they have the same monomer, the ways the monomers are connected together is different. This is why cellulose, the structural component of cell walls in plants, is very different from the starch, a carbohydrate that the plants use to store energy in chemical form. So how do polymers form? Chemical reactions, of course. The two major types of reactions that combine monomers to form polymers are known as addition and condensation reactions. Let's look at addition reactions first. In an addition reaction, monomers break their double bonds in order to bond with each other over and over again to produce a long chain. All of the atoms present in the monomer are present in the polymer. At the bottom of this graphic, we see a general model of monomers undergoing addition reactions in order to form a polymer. Just above it, we see two ethene molecules. Remember that ethylene is the common name for the two-carbon alkene called ethene. These two ethene molecules break half of their double bond and add together to make the polymer. The polymer we call polyethylene. Notice that all 4 of the carbon atoms and all 8 of the hydrogen atoms from the reactant side, they show up in the polymer. This never happens with the second type of polymerization reaction. The second type of polymerization reaction is called a condensation reaction. In this reaction, a polymer is formed when a portion of the monomers is removed as a small molecule, usually water, hence the confusing name. When that small molecule is removed, the monomers are allowed to combine. This is a condensation reaction between two different and complex organic molecules. All I want you to notice here is that a portion of the molecule on the left and a portion of the molecule on the right is removed. They combine to make the water molecule, highlighted in blue. When they're removed, the left molecule and the right molecule, can combine to make the polymer. And over here, not all of the polymer is shown. Have you ever noticed that rubber tires and rubber bands are very different, but they're both made of the same substance, rubber? In order to form substances with more rigidity and strength, a process called cross-linking causes branches and links to form between the strands of long polymer molecules. With rubber, that process is called vulcanization. Which do you think contains more cross-linking, a rubber band or a rubber tire? It's the rubber tire, of course. The vulcanization process adds cross-links that increase the rigidity and the strength of the polymer. A perm, like the one this gal has, adds cross-linking between hair strands, which is how normally straight hair can become curly. The cross-linking causes the hair to stick to itself further up the strand, forming a bend or a curl. All the different shapes of these plastic objects are created by pouring liquid into molds. Some plastics, like polyethylene and polyvinyl chloride, can be melted down and reformed over and over again. These plastics are called thermoplastics. Other plastics, called thermosetting materials, are permanently set once they're molded. The material in your home phone, if you have one, or the phone on the wall in your classroom, is likely a thermosetting plastic. Thermosetting plastics, because they cannot be melted and remolded, are much harder to recycle than thermoplastics, and that makes sense. About 12% of the waste Americans produce each year is plastic. As a result, number codes are used to easily distinguish the different types of polymers and plastics, so they can be easily recycled. It's likely you own dozens of products with one of these codes on it. Many of these products are just thrown away when used up, so they should be recycled, not only to reduce waste, but to reduce our need for petroleum. That's the raw material all these polymers are made from anyway. Code number 1 is used for polyethylene terephthalate, and that's found in soda, water, Gatorade, and Powerade bottles. High-density polyethylene, number 2, that's the material we use to make laundry detergent and milk jugs. Vinyl materials, like some soap and shampoo bottles, or containers for household cleaners like this one, they have the number 3 code. Number 4, low-density polyethylene, makes up plastic rings on a 6-pack of soda cans, and is also used to make butter and margarine tubs. Number 5, polypropylene, can be used to make reusable water bottles, disposable yogurt cups, syrup, and ketchup bottles. Number 6, polystyrene, is the material we call styrofoam. It's found in cups, plates, temporary food containers from your favorite restaurant, that sort of thing. Any materials that are recyclable from a polymer that is something else, they'll use the number 7 code, like this polycarbonate bottle. Thanks for listening.